Foundry is a brand new factory builder coming to early access on the 2nd of May, and I have to say, having sunk over 6,000 hours in the factory game genre, I've been very eager to try out Foundry, and it hasn't disappointed. But how does it compare to others in its niche? Well, let's find out, and if you're interested in getting your hands on it, make sure to use the link in the pinned comment and description below. Also, a huge thanks does go out to Paradox for sponsoring this video and giving me early access to Foundry so that I can show it off for you or to you today. Now, when it does come to Foundry, many have been quick to find the similarities between Satisfactory and modded Minecraft, and though there are similarities, I don't think it does the game justice. Sure, we may find ourselves starting off dropping to the surface of a moon and being commanded by an artificial intelligence, but I'd be more tempted to draw similarities between Minecraft and Factorio when it comes to Foundry, as I'm sure you'll notice. Whether that's the endless procedurally generated world, the expansive research tree unlocked by producing different science packs, or the ability to produce all buildables as items in your factories, from the base ingredients that are found in finite resource veins scattered around the world, forcing you to search out more resources by venturing further out or deeper underground. After all, you can excavate the ground, and that becomes very important later in the game. For someone like myself who loves first-person perspective games, this is the perfect blend of Factorio-style factory building and the freedom of Minecraft, which gives Foundry a very different feel to Satisfactory, and that's not a bad thing at all. When you first land, the game provides a short tutorial as well as a few small veins of resources for you to utilize to introduce you to the game's mechanics, and then it kind of leaves you on your own. Surprisingly though, I think for anyone who's played factory games prior to this, you'll find yourself spending more time setting up your automation lines than usual due to the sheer amount of items producible, and it can quickly become quite overwhelming if you try doing everything all at once, and also the controls aren't as familiar as I would like. Now, you'll also find it more difficult to build perfectly efficient factory lines, as the drones that harvest the resources will gradually take longer traveling between ore pieces, which negatively impacts your production speeds and thus your throughput. And in the early game, the only workaround to this is to oversaturate your belts, which I'm leaning into thinking is the right approach with Foundry. Regardless, when it comes to automation, you won't have access to splitters, though there are belt balancers later in the game, which will certainly excite the fellow Factorio enthusiasts among us, but this does mean that you're going to be reliant on manifolds in the main for feeding your lines, unless you want a lot more work on your hands. The handful of veins you have near to your starting location will definitely be enough to get you up and running, but sooner rather than later you're going to want to venture out, finding larger ore veins to extract using either explosives or your handy mining tool to uncover. And I can't stress how important it is to do this early on so that you have the resources, or you may find yourself running out of the resources at your base, as was the case for me, and left me wishing there was some kind of notification from my AI companion telling me that an ore vein was running low. Regardless, I highly recommend focusing on developing your resources, buses, and also consider item transportation, as you're going to rely on them a lot in the early game, whether you choose one big factory or multiple modular factories in this. Personally, I'm really tempted to build one big factory that's built deep underground, which is certainly doable as you can unlock deeper digging and underground ore vein miners that I presume are much more efficient. But for that, you'll need to explore the larger research tree that is available at launch, and there is plenty to play about with across the 5 tiers of science that's available, from robotic assembly lines, solar plants, and transport ships to oil processing and steam power. Now, as you venture deeper into the game, you'll find yourself fixing the orbital space station and find yourself spending a good portion of time setting up assembly lines, producing robots which you can sell robotics to the corporation that you're working for in return for resources that you're going to need for science. And it's something that I'm dying to really play around with, but given we're already 20 hours into the game and I've still got a long way to go to get to the assembly lines, I think I'll probably have to leave that for a future video. Now, one thing that's surprised me from the get-go though is the sheer amount of machines that are available at launch, from smelters and basic assemblers to casting machines, chemical processors, distillation columns, greenhouses, and a whole lot more. You'll be working with raw materials, liquids, and gases. Now, my first impression of the game when it hit itch.io prior to its early access release on Steam, and with it being in a much earlier version at that point than what I'm playing now, was that it was trying to be Minecraft with some factory automation. It didn't really cross my mind that Foundry would really push deep into the complexity of factory games, and I'm pleasantly surprised to say that this is a game I could easily sink many more hours in, whether that's playing around with the designing of production lines or focusing on beautiful looking factories. After all, there's a large assortment of build pieces and decor items that'll be easy for someone like myself to get carried away with, and with it being released to early access, there's so much more planned in the future, from logic gates, something which I've wanted in Satisfactory for a long time, to new recipes, research and machines, giving me the impression that this could become a very deep and complicated factory game in a good way. Like I said, I'm very happily surprised with this. Now, the game and story already feel very complete from what I've seen so far, and though I find myself struggling a little with the unfamiliar controls, it hasn't been something that has stopped me enjoying what the game has to offer. Now, as you get deeper into the game, you will find yourself exploring the surroundings, and with a procedurally generated world, I do very much feel that we need various forms of transport to help us cover large swathes of ground easily, and I'm sure that's coming. As for the exploration of the world around you, I am left wanting more. There's a few biomes which vary the experience, but other than the never-ending search for more resource veins, which seem quite sporadic on this moon, it feels very empty, and I do hope that they add or expand on this during development. With a huge space station that features catastrophic damage above us, I'm sure that they could add some debris or usable items to make exploration more interesting and beneficial for those who want to go out and collect the stuff. Now, one thing you'll need to search out later into the game is water, which is used to generate steam for power and used in various oil processes. But what really gets me excited about this is the water flow mechanics that are very similar to that of Minecraft. Now, I've always wanted to use water to create hydro dams and use water flow mechanics to produce power, turning turbines. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case as it stands from what I've seen in the research tree. But with these water flow mechanics built into the game, it does give me the hope that we may find a use for the fluid mechanics outside of pipes and production later into the game's release. On the whole, I'm very excited with what I've played of Foundry, and I definitely feel it's worth checking out, especially if you're looking for another factory game to play whilst waiting for 1.0. Now, if this is something that you'd be interested in seeing more of on the channel, please do let me know in the comments below on what you'd like to see. And if you're interested in this game, then do use the link in the pinned comment below. And guys, thank you for watching, and of course thanks again does go to Paradox for sponsoring this video, as well as all of our amazing supporters on Patreon, most notably our Solo Clips Patreon, Firefless and our Lunas, The Calamity, Ben and Star, and our Blood Moon of the day, which today is Jenny. Until next time, as always, ciao for now.